the rest of the video. Two little kids. Wasn't pretty.
All right. With that, we'll call to order the Wednesday, October 23rd meeting of the Waldeboro Recreation Committee. We'll start with just quick introductions.
Trevor Redinger.
Ray Tompkins.
Troy Smith.
Marcus Benner.
Jim Letney.
Karen Rowan.
And with that, we'll move forward with the agenda. Marcus, any citizens' comments or any other members that would like to share anything?
Yeah. The 5-6 soccer wrap-up at the pitch as opposed to a tournament, I thought was awesome. I mean, I think it could use a little bit of improvement, but the overall idea was great. I thought it was awesome to get those kids into that facility. It was a fun event, having the rec directors and coaches, ref. It was, I think the kids had a great time playing, and I thought it was great.
Yeah.
Yep. I guess I'll piggyback off that. They didn't really have any citizens' comments, but there were other plans for that day that just didn't go as planned. But it was only the directors that were like, "Man, this is blowing up in our faces," but everyone else was having a good time because they didn't know any better.
Right.
So I think I haven't met with the directors. We probably won't meet again until next summer. But I think we'll probably end up sticking with that format. But you know, I have a few changes I'd like to see. You know, maybe we just have to I know it's hard for the directors because everyone's busy all day. We have K2 in the morning, 3, 4. Everybody's wrapping up everything that day. I'd love to see the 5th, 6th get extended a little bit. It felt very quick and no time to, you know, kind of settle in. I'd like to expand that day and slow things down a little bit. I think would, you know, it's not so much that people are sitting around all day, but it was no warm up time. You know, kind of bang bang.
Yeah, which I get being in there, and it was.
But for what it was, I think it thought it went
Yeah, and we
very
had an
well.
hour between, but doing awards in there and then
Yeah.
watching the other kids play ate up that time quick.
Yeah,
It was
you know,
not a big deal. It was-
I wrapped a couple games, so the downtime for me wasn't there. But
Right.
it felt like it was just. I felt like my head was on a
And-
swivel, just
And
going.
Robbie donated that time.
Yes.
That's
Yeah, I would say from the parents' standpoint, I don't think nobody noticed any chaos or
Yeah.
pitches.
I mean, the original plan, there was no real set plan for referees, which I think needs to be addressed, especially since I had to leave. It didn't work out well for me. I had to go let the cheerleaders in. But there was supposed to be like pizza there for everybody. I don't know how we would have got that many pizzas. I've never seen that many people there.
I hadn't either.
But, you know, the plan was to have some food for people, and I think it was supposed to be a little more organized than what it was. But for what it was, it went well.
I thought it was great. Kept it low key.
Yeah.
You know, hey, who's reffing that? And okay, let's go. Let's
Yeah.
play. You know, you playing with 8, you playing with 9, whatever.
Yeah.
Let's move.
Right.
It was awesome.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
And then no other citizens' input.
no.
So we'll go to item number 3, the Recreation Director's Report.
Yep.
I'll turn that to you.
So yeah, just going off that again, youth soccer is wrapped up for the year. Everything from kindergarten through 6th grade wrapped up this past Saturday on the 19th. As we talked about, the 5th and 6th grade teams had play days at the pitch that went fairly well. Instead of a playoff that they normally have, when we didn't have any playoffs, so we just had the play day at the pitch. The senior citizen bus trip to Naples to the Song of River Queen went very well. There was a little hiccup. The restaurants I planned to go to, we pulled up with the bus and they were closed. I called them a month before. They said they're open through Columbus Day, and we went the week before, so I was like, oh, great. And I guess after Labor Day, they're only open on the weekends. So it worked out well. We called this, one of the guys from the restaurants happened to be there. He came out and was like, I'm sorry, we're closed. I'd love to open for you, but I don't have any staff. I'm like, well, I got 55 people on this bus ready to eat. Where do I go?
Right, yeah.
And he's like, there's a place back across the causeway, Gary's Old Town Tavern. He said they're open all the time, year round, all the time. So I looked it up on my phone.
Made Gary's day.
Yeah, called Gary's like, hey Gary,
He's like,
I got 50 people ready to eat in 10 minutes. Can you take us? And he's like, yep, you're gonna have to bear with us. We only have 2 waitresses, but we got a full kitchen, and we'll do our best.
Give you up.
And he's like, what time are you getting on the boat? I said 1 o'clock. It was like 11:10. They didn't open till 11:30. And we showed up at like 11:15. And he's like, come on inside, let's get going.
Right,
and
yeah.
We were 15, 20 minutes late to the boat. I
Perfect.
called them
Right.
and told them we were gonna be late. And normally he said he would've just cut our trip 15, 20 minutes short. He gave us the whole trip, so the only person it really affected was the bus driver, 15, 20 minutes, and she was great.
Awesome.
So it went really well. Everyone had a good meal. It was a neat little place. If I go back there again, I might just go there.
Right.
Especially knowing the time of year.
That's cool.
So yeah, like I said, the bus driver was great. She got us in and out of some
What-
tight spots.
What
And
day was that?
Wednesday, October 9th, I believe.
Was that a nice day? I'm trying to
It was
remember.
beautiful.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. We've had some
Yeah, it was like, it wasn't
killer
out on the
days.
boat. They have like an inside and an outside. The people that sat outside, they chose to, but it was a little chilly, but not too bad.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Like the leaves turned that week.
Right.
It's supposed to be peak, and I was worried it was gonna be.
Pass.
Yeah, no,
Or not
not
enough.
it was.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it was still pretty green
Yeah.
early in that week, and for some reason it turned right at the right time, and
That's
it was
awesome.
a pretty bus ride, pretty boat trip. No wind on the lake. It was.
Awesome.
Did you have some no-shows for
We
the
had-
bus trip?
Yep. So we had. I think we ended up taking 49, including myself. So
So
we
you
had
had
about
8.
6. It's 55 on the bus. And I had about 5 or 10 that didn't show,
It's not
or that
bad.
I told that 5 to 10 I told couldn't come because we didn't have the room.
That's not
But-
bad.
Yeah, so we took, it was 40, I think it was 49 including the bus driver to eat, so went well.
Made Gary's day.
Yeah,
Yeah, right?
yeah, and they, like I said, they did great. Got us in and out pretty quick, and everybody had a good meal. Then a tumbling class with Matt Hanley is heading into its 3rd week this week. We have 13 athletes participating in that. We do that every year. It's usually a fall thing. Last year we did like 3 or 4 of them through the winter and spring, and even into the summer. So I don't know what's ahead for that. It's kind of as requested by the cheerleading program. Big thanks to Jim for letting them in and taking registrations the first week. I had my cousin's wedding I had to be at. Pickleball has continued strong. The last couple weeks have been low attendance.
Did you open on Thursday?
I did open on Thursday. So
Really?
one of those days was the storm, the
Yeah,
windstorm.
did anybody come?
Just Lorraine. But she said she lives right around the block.
Yeah,
So
she did.
I gave her a little mini lesson. We played some one-on-one and had a good time. But
Yeah, because so many of
yeah,
us
it took
didn't
it took
have-
me an hour to get to Waldeboro from Friendship that day. So
Yeah,
Yeah, I heard that there was a little.
yeah, I had to take 3 or 4 different routes.
yeah,
to
you
get
couldn't
there.
take Fintown, you couldn't take
220.
220,
Yeah, I ended
yeah.
up going, after I tried both of those ways, I ended up going back out 97 down to the Blue Church and
Yeah.
Route 1 in, so.
So is it currently 2 days a week now?
We're at 1 day a week right now, that's the
Right.
next part. So November 5th, I think, it's the first, so starting in November, we're going to 2 days a week, Tuesday and a Thursday. And so we'll see. Hopefully we get the numbers, the 2 weeks, the last 2 weeks, we had the storm, and then the week before that, we only had 3 show up, but that's gonna happen. The couple weeks before that, we had 12 and 14 show up, so more than we had space for, so it's been pretty good.
So how are we advertising this, for lack of a better term?
Yeah, so
How we,
I just sent it to the paper yesterday that starting in November, we were gonna move to 2 days a week.
so you're talking like Lincoln County News?
Lincoln County and Village Soup.
Village Soup.
Put it up on our Facebook page,
I saw that.
probably get it up on our website when I get it to Julie.
You have an email list.
I
don't
have an
you?
email list of the current pickleball players that we've had. I'll send it out to them. I'll tell the people that show up
Yeah.
this week and next.
Just a thought, on the
Yeah.
website or whatever,
Yeah.
is there, or can we put together a senior section?
There
A
is.
senior,
There-
there is, okay.
That's been my
seniors-
biggest. We're getting a new website, but my biggest
yes,
my
that's
biggest
right.
beef with the website that we currently have
Mhm.
is there is a community programs, or maybe not a senior, but an adult, and maybe there's a senior and then youth. And so there's 3 tabs, but it's all past stuff. If you want current information on our website, go to the main page. Like if you go, all the current stuff is never on my recreation page. It's always on the main
Oh,
page.
yeah.
So that's how they've always run it. Like once
So that really needs to be
it needs to be changed.
enhanced,
Yeah.
clarified.
Yeah, so basically, once, like, we're advertising tumbling still, I think, on there.
Yep.
But when that program's done, that will be like the first thing on my rec page, but it's even though it's over.
Soccer's still on the main
So
page.
with a new website, will you be able to be trained to
I'm
change it?
pushing for
Maybe
that.
That type
Yeah.
of,
I'm pushing to be trained to use it and
yeah.
Do your own.
To have
kind of
updated
have control of my own
Yeah.
page.
Well,
But that's how they've always run it, but that's, so if you want information on recreation programs, the waldeboro.maine.org, or waldeboromaine.org, but the main page is where you're gonna find it. If you go to the recreation page, it's just gonna be outdated
Well,
information.
I'm just wondering if, should it be youth, adult, and then seniors?
Yeah,
To give,
give somebody where to go, yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know how the new one's gonna be set up, they're working with that, but
It's gonna be on the sign too, probably.
it'll be on the sign at the church,
3 to 11, 3 to 9.
9.
up here, up at the.
Up at the church, they put it up for us.
That's what it was one day.
And,
you didn't catch that?
Did we do it on the
You know,
marquee here?
it-
3 to
I don't
9.
know
yeah.
if
It was
we
three. It
have
was
yet.
pickleball 3 to 9. Or
Yeah,
no,
the-
3 to 11.
3 to 11,
3 to 11.
the first
No,
week.
the three, if you look at it one way, it looks like a 3, but it's more like an 8
Oh.
I don't
or
know.
something. I
From
mean, it's
lately,
funny.
funny.
it's looked like 9 to 11, but the,
Yeah,
the
no,
very
it's been
first
good.
week, it was a definite 3.
It wasn't.
it's been aces.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
it gets me to look.
And they've been great up there. They're finding me. They're in the works of finding me a place to leave the pickleball nets that we own up there.
Oh, nice.
That make it handy.
Can I leave the one you gave us up there as well?
Yeah.
So I don't have to lug stuff back and forth. And going to 2 days, if I do have a day where I can't be there, the stuff's there for them to set up the nets and play.
And can the tape,
They're gonna let us put the tape down Tuesday and peel it up Thursday.
Oh.
So it's at least once a
Great.
week.
Oh, so
Oh,
it's
that's
Thursday,
good.
no setup.
Saves the
Right,
saving.
Thursday no setup.
Right.
Saves us a little bit of time. I bought a tape roll applicator.
Yep.
It doesn't save me any time, but it saves my back.
Yes. Fair enough.
Yeah.
It's got to be a robot.
It was
Is there a
nice
Roomba
to
you
see
can
him on
program?
his
Yeah,
knees.
right?
Roomba, yeah.
I was getting pretty good at sliding across the floor, but I found with the tape applicator, you have to walk in a straight line. Like it's like
It's like
it's like
lining a field.
yeah,
right?
but it's more wiggly. So
Yeah.
it's like you get down, you get a little bubble. So
So I'm thinking by January, we'll be able to paint.
by January, yeah, we'll see how it goes. But it's been going well, and you know if I know ahead of time, like, hey, Tuesday is looking like a holiday, I'm not gonna be there. I'm gonna do my best to get over there Monday afternoon, Monday night, and
Oh, there you
lay
go.
the tape then,
Yeah.
so that it's all set for them.
Oh, that's cool.
Yep. Co-ed softball finished strong. They had a double elimination tournament. It's kind of funny. We had 13 teams this year. There was a lot of parity in the league. Basically, I think there were probably like 4 or 5, maybe 6 teams that could have won the championship. And there were about 9 teams that could wreck somebody's day.
Right? Yeah.
And
That's
then,
good, though.
yeah, it was great.
That makes for fun.
And
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
and so, the last, not this year, but like the last 5-6 years, it's always been south of the border versus Benchwarmers in the championship. And so, Benchwarmers finished as the 2nd seed, and I think, so south of the border split into Brooks Trap Mill and Barstow Farms. Barstow Farms was the 1 seed. Brooks Trap Mill was the 3, I think, and they were, Brooks Trap was more of the south of the border core. And they ended up, Brooks Trap beat Benchwarmers in the championship, so it was basically the same 2 teams. after all that,
Different names.
all that work, just under
Right.
different names. But it was a good season. A Tai Chi class is in the works, starting yesterday. It was one of the most requested programs on our recreation survey. And I was over at the CLCY yesterday talking to their director, getting a little tour, and saw they had it going on. I'm like, oh, Tai Chi, that's, you know, people in Waldeboro want that.
Yeah.
And so I'm kind of working with them to see if I can get them to bring their instructor over here. Maybe we do it at the VFW
would.
or something. And I don't know how that collaboration will work. It's still super early, but
Right.
if
Cool.
it's something we can get them to help us offer in Waldeboro. I didn't know where else I'd find a Tai Chi instructor. I don't know any of those personally. But hoping to get something else going for that. And then it's about that time of year where I'll start getting an open gym going. Usually the guys come to me wanting to get something going at Miller. They like to have a little warm up to the basketball season at the church. They have the league up there, so usually 6 to 8 weeks before they're coming to me wanting to play. Nobody's come yet, but I'll probably just get
Smart to
be proactive on that.
Where Troy goes and, reserves a big
Yeah.
slot for the whole,
Right.
basketball through softball season.
McNally already texted me and said, "Are you using Wednesday nights?" Yes.
Yes.
Just haven't signed up for it yet. So yeah, and then we usually run that through Christmas, and I usually sign up for it through March. And I don't. Last year I just kind of gave it back to basketball. I don't know if they ended up using it. It didn't really work out very well. If pickleball's still going strong, I might think about doing a nighttime pickleball up there. I know we've had some requests
That'd be cool.
for the people that work can't make it at 9 to 11 in the morning, so that's on my radar.
That'd be neat.
Yeah, I don't know if they'll let us lay tape and leave it, but we'll see.
It would improve the floor.
That's my report.
Cool.
So, the next item is, to approve the meeting minutes from September 25th. I can't remember if we got them in email, but they are here, if anybody,
Yeah, I sent them today, I think, or the other day.
yeah. So, does anybody have, anything, any edits or any changes they'd like to make? And if not, I would, accept a motion to accept. Anyone?
I'll move to accept.
A second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All approved, unanimous. So, the next item that you have on the agenda here is the fall review and the winter preview. I know you talked about some of those things probably in your report, but
Yeah,
if there's anything additional you want to mention?
not really. Most of it was in the report. Like I said, soccer ended, softball ended, all that stuff. The fall preview was pretty much in there,
Mhm.
our review. The only other thing I can think of was, I know we talked about the movie night. I still have yet to make headway with that.
Yeah.
I was kind of, back last meeting, I was thinking about a Halloween, Halloween style one, but Halloween's this week or next week. It's coming up. Yeah. This week, next week, something like that.
Thursday.
Thursday.
Yeah, next Thursday.
Yeah.
And there's just not enough time to pull it together by then.
Sure.
That the last couple weeks have been some of the busiest of my year with soccer wrapping up and co-ed softball and all that. So
Yeah.
maybe winter. I don't know. Christmas themed, or what? I don't know. It's still on my radar, but
Yep.
I gotta get looking into it.
Any other winter programs you wanna mention, or?
Yep. So the tumbling's going on. K2 basketball starts towards the end of January, usually 1st of January. When I usually go to my in-laws on vacation for Christmas, New Year's. So when I get back from that, I usually start getting the K2 basketball stuff put together for registrations. I'm hoping to run a 5th, 6th basketball tournament again. Last year we did a girls. I'd love to do a boys and a girls. Last year we did it at the end of March. I'd love to move that up. It was basically the same week as Little League tryouts, which made that a fun weekend.
Yeah.
I'd love to move it up to like late February, early March, but I know there's a lot of competition with other tournaments going on. But if we can get that nailed down early, maybe I can get both the high school and middle school gym, run the boys in one, the girls in another, and get something going there. That was a good money maker for us last year, and it was nice to have our own tournament back.
Careful of middle school wrestling.
And you still have plans to do this skiing?
Yes, ski club. I gotta talk to Catherine Osborne's run that for me the last couple of years. She's kind of the one that initiated it. I need to make sure she's willing to head over there every Friday night to
Sure.
hand out the lift tickets, but it's something I'd love to continue.
With that, we'll move on to new business, and I believe Marcus has a new charge from the select board as far as our last meeting, when we presented our findings, and
Yeah.
be interested to hear that.
Yeah, so our new charge is to basically figure out what a community center for Waldeboro looks like and what should be in it. How big is it? How small is it? What does it have for amenities is kind of where they're looking. What does Waldeboro want or need going forward?
So what it looks like, how big, how much? No,
Yeah.
Nothing about finances, correct?
No, just
Okay.
basically what needs to be in a community center, to put it blunt.
Okay.
So I gave a handout of our slide, you know, we kinda already did that with our
Yeah.
survey. I don't know where we wanna move on from here, but I gave, the handout's double-sided as our, you know, what priority level would you give the following spaces in a recreation center? And we have our whole data sheet on one side and the top 5 and bottom 5 on another. So the numbers kinda speak for themselves there. You know, I have ideas of what, you know, I see it looking like. And to be quite honest, they don't 100% match up with our survey results, but I don't know what you guys think, but. I mean,
Sure, I mean, obviously it would take a little bit of, you know, looking around at some of the other facilities and some of
Yeah.
the needs that we found through this survey.
yep,
And then also, you know, possibly trying to be creative of how you could, different options of how you could lay out the building to make it feasible to do.
yep,
You know, or if that's in collaboration or partnership with other stuff that we found out about at the you know,
forum.
at the forum. So,
So I did, yesterday I kinda got a private tour with, Megan, the CEO of the CLC, got a tour around their facility to see what, you know, and I said, can I come over? I hadn't seen their new renovated facility, I hadn't been there since high school, it's like, can I come check it out and like pick your brain about, you know, what's working, what's not. And I've been to Wiscasset, we take the kids there, so I was just trying to get an idea there. I asked her, you know, if you couldn't have all of it, what would you have? And she basically said, you know, the open spaces and the kitchen, like they do a lot with their kitchen. And she said, and then whatever fills your needs for you. And when just in the little bit I talked to her, she said it kind of sounds like you need a gym because we're, you know, of the limited space issues that I'd been talking about. So for me, that, you know, that kind of makes sense to me. If we were going to do anything, a bare necessities, even Friendship has the Han Center, and they don't have so much have the open spaces, but a gym and a kitchen. And I know a kitchen wasn't very high on our priority list coming back from the surveys, but it allows us to rent out the facility for functions, and I think it just makes too much sense. But I don't know how everybody else feels. I know, I guess, I don't, Wiscasset, I don't know if they have a kitchen. I haven't got a whole tour of their facility, but I didn't see one next to their gym.
What do you mean by open spaces?
So at Lincoln, at the Y, basically when you walk in, there's a big open desk, and then they have a whole hallway with just like, basically like lounging area.
Yeah.
And so the one thing that was high on was a teen activity area. And I asked her, I'm like, you don't have a teen activity area. I've been to Wiscasset Rec, they have like a senior citizen area designated. Like you don't have any of that. Like, what's the thought behind that? She's like, basically, I did the same thing you were doing. You know, I went to Foxborough YMCA, and I went to all these different YMCA's, and everyone that had teen centers said, don't bother. The kids you're just herding sheep where they don't want to go. The kids are going to end up where they want to be.
Interesting.
So just, you know, make spaces like that. She said after school, all those tables in that hallway are full. They're eating food. You know, they have the kitchen there that, you know, it's not something, it's different than what I see more of a kitchen as for functions. They
Right.
have like a teaching kitchen and food, like free food available for their members and stuff. But, you know, they have open spaces where the kids hang out. And then they have like their main conference room that they have their board meetings in was where the Tai Chi class was taking place. Like just
Those are multi-use.
functionality like that, multi-purpose rooms. So, you know, that's what, she loved that open space and the kitchen were her two big favorite things. And, you know, maybe that model doesn't work for Waldeboro or, you know,
That's
we're not a Y, it's
Right.
gonna be different. But that's what she said, and then the gym. Like the basics.
Their gym is big, though. It's
Yeah,
like
and it's multifunction.
three,
It's
yeah.
not just a basketball court.
Yeah.
You know, when I was there was the basketball court. There was still room for people to play basketball. No one was there doing it, but it was early in the morning. They had 2 pickleball nets going. Of course, their tennis facility was full. The one thing I like the track up overhead.
Yeah.
Our biggest thing was indoor walking or jogging track.
Yeah.
She said that it used to be just around their gym,
Yep.
and it was a nightmare because
Yes.
they were getting pelted with balls and walking in
Yeah.
front of fans at functions,
Yeah.
and so she loves that it's elevated now.
And it's a kind of a padded
Yeah,
Yeah.
thing, so you're not hearing, when you're downstairs
It's
playing
not.
pickleball, you're
Yeah.
not hearing pounding.
Yep.
It's great.
And so they converted their old racquetball court. There was into a fitness thing. There was a spin class going on in there, and then they had some more space upstairs. That they had another, looked like yoga type class going on.
And they have that weight room
And they have a fitness
right there
center
by pickleball.
right when you walk in too. Yeah.
Right. to your
way
left,
at the
yeah.
back.
Yeah.
And that seems to be pretty busy. I was
Yeah.
over there.
It was busy, and so and I don't know.
It's a child care area now.
Yes, childcare.
That's what it is.
Yeah, as soon as you walk in the door, the thing is on your left. It's nice, it's beautiful, it's brand new. And I don't, free weights and that were right in the middle of our survey. So yeah, I mean, if the two, like I said, basics for me would be, gym kitchen combo for functions, and then some multi-purpose space for classes or whatever. And then if you're gonna expand on that, walking track would probably be number one, and then maybe free weights. I personally don't see a pool in our future, but
Have you,
the money's not.
have you talked with Penn Bay as well? And
I haven't got that far yet. I'm planning on reaching out to more. I tried to get over when we took the kids over to Wiscasset to get a tour from their director. I recently found out, I guess she just left. She's not there anymore. So I don't know who to get in contact
I
with.
think it'd be
over there,
interesting
but-
just get the perspective as to what they feel are the hot buttons for them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Versus,
I thought about
You
it's a
know.
lot smaller, but the Rockland Rec, Benji's, or director I
Oh,
work
that's
with a
true,
lot.
too.
I've been there a bunch, but just in the gym. I don't know what else he has going on there.
yeah.
I don't even know if I'd need a tour, but just calling up and see
What are you doing?
what are you doing,
Mhm.
type of thing. And then just kind of calling around and seeing what's working for people and what's not.
Because Rockport may have a different perspective on what's,
Oh, I'm sure they do, and they're much bigger than Damariscotta. So
when you
Yeah.
say bigger, as far as physical plant because of the pool, or you're talking about
just the whole
membership?
just the whole facility. I don't know
Yeah.
about membership.
It is big. You're right, it is big.
I mean, CLC's nice. Penn Bay, they got the pool, they got the rock climbing wall.
Right.
And the Y is going to put in a pool. That's the next
Damariscotta.
phase,
Yeah,
next phase.
it's coming. But I did a little research and a little bit talking with her. Basically, the number she gave me was that pools lose about $150,000 a year. So, she's basically put it as the $30 swim lessons don't pay for a $500,000 pool. It's
Right.
$4 million to build it and $500,000 to $1 million a year to maintain it. I haven't done all that research myself. I looked a little bit today. There were different some different feasibility studies out there, anywhere from $500,000 to $1 million to maintain. I didn't see much about building, but most people expect 30 to 50% revenue of per cost. So
Right. Wow.
if it's $100,000 to maintain, they're only expecting to make 30 to 50.
Mm.
So you got to have some way. For us as a municipality, that's either a tax increase or private donations, which
Ongoing.
yeah, right, some type of endowment, which we don't have at the moment. So I don't see a pool in our future right away.
A climbing wall, would you consider that in some of this space?
Yeah, I'd have to do more. I mean, I'm open to anything. This is more group discussion. I've done a little
Yeah.
research in the last week, so I'm filling you in on what I've
Because
kind of found. I don't know what type of staffing requirements you'd need for a rock wall. I'm sure there's some type of safety liability issue about keeping staff on, and it depends how big this place gets. If if we're gonna have instructors all over the place, fine. If it's still gonna be me and a few, maybe a custodian or a secretary, I don't know, then it's gonna limit what we can do as far as putting stuff like that in. I don't know. that's not up for me to decide. If they give me the money and tell me to do what I can with it, I will, but it's not always the case.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, you know, and we can hash things around here and there, but I think, you know, obviously it's trying to develop like a dream facility and then a facility that meets,
Yeah,
like, that's more attainable or,
right. Yeah,
you know,
maybe
real
we-
quickly envisioning, knowing, you know, your the current future, current climate for the amount that's spent on recreation.
Yep.
And then if you were to throw a building into that mix, we'd be looking to build a building that could be multifaceted and open in different ways with having different levels of staffing, you know, so it's departmentalized, like maybe it does have a fitness center, but it's run by a collaborative partner that staffs and maintains and collects a fee to that, but it also allows those members to use the gym and the walking track, whereas a regular resident of Waldoboro could come in and use those for a lesser fee or,
Yep.
you know, those type of like,
Right.
and or being able to develop a budget that would operate, you know, to do birthday parties or have a full kitchen that could do some banquets and you could rent out for party, like
Right.
different ways to offset it without having a full-time staff or full-time maintenance and all the different stuff that would kind of
Right.
go into it. It, you know, but there could be other players or other grants or other money out there that could allow that to happen, but
Right.
I think that's somewhat the key. I mean, you know, obviously you don't want to build a building that you can't keep open for a long time or
Right.
accessible, you know.
Right.
I mean, there's gonna be people that wanna get up and walk at 6 o'clock in the morning, and there's gonna be people that get out of work and, you know, put the kids to bed and then wanna recreate at 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock, you know. You
Right.
wanna have that flexibility, but you also, being open that long, you know, you can't.
It's not gonna be me all the time.
Right, it can't be you or just financially staffing it that long, you know.
Right.
Right.
Those are the different situations, or, you know, and obviously to do that, you'd have to kind of really put your head around of how that would work, and if there are other community collaborators out there,
Yep.
that would be something you could consider if the hospital's gonna have a PT, or
Right.
maybe the hospital has a, you know, a PT pool, you know,
Yeah.
a therapy pool instead of
Right.
a
Full
full-size pool.
Olympic, right.
Or maybe it has like two small lanes for lap swimming, or, you know. I mean, there's all those different things, and I think that's kind of the future, and especially in the budgetary climate that we're at, is to try to look at those resources to see, yeah, this is, you know, you could sell it to the tax base a little bit more,
Yeah.
you know, because it's kind of, not a leap of faith, but you, at least if you had those backings behind you, you knew, you know, it would be operable.
Right.
You know, and that's kind of the nice thing about the Han Center for Friendship is, you know, it's a building that the town pays minimally to maintain, or however that's
Yeah. funded,
but it's accessible to pretty much anybody in the town.
Yeah.
You know, and with today's technology, it'd be great to be able to say, oh, yeah, maybe we're gonna have our birthday party here or at this place, and
Right.
I just gotta come down to the town and talk to Marcus, or I gotta, you know,
Yeah.
or we wanna do this function, or, yeah, I do have an idea, instead of the idea coming from people at this table, it comes from, yeah, you know, I watched this new game, it's a mix between squash and pickleball, you know, like I got guys, you know, that's kinda how that would benefit, I think, the most, but.
Yeah.
But I mean,
So-
really, I think it would need a walking track indoor.
Yeah.
I mean, you just have such a population that really could use
Well,
it.
and the climate here, the
Yeah.
winters are so long, it
Yeah.
lends
Well,
itself.
Sure, I
that
mean,
was-
it
that
rained
was the-
today,
I
and we
wasn't
went from like
expecting it.
normally
Yeah,
having
it's
like
awesome
60
idea.
people to probably 200 people today.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, just because it's raining and it's cold, and
Yep. And that was the number one answer by quite a bit on our survey, so I think.
yeah,
And it was mostly, the people who filled this out, it seems to me it was mostly older people too.
It was, our biggest age group was 65 plus, which I haven't.
Is the demographics
it-
of the
yeah,
area.
Right. You know, I
One
haven't.
of the things that, I think I've shared this in Gunnison, where they have this great rec center that they did a bond with. The school just drops the kids off there for the after-school program.
Yep.
And it's so, the proximity to the school was,
Yeah.
you just come across town to drop off kids, and right there's the rec center.
Yeah, and talking with the Y in Damascata, they're right next to GSB. They said, 3 o'clock. I don't know if they have their own bus that goes over and picks them up, or they have a staff member walk over and walk them over. But they said the pre-K through 5th grade, they have in like their own programs. And then once you're in 6th grade, as long as you're like a member of the Y, you can come over and just hang out. And they're basically not supervised. They can just go do what they want. So they have a lot of those kids too.
How large a staff do they have over there? Or did she
Oh, they have a
say?
big
Yeah,
staff.
I mean, I saw, they got probably 6 or 7 heads of something brass that I saw, that I got introduced to.
Mhm.
And then there were other people, they had a couple people at the desk and
So they got about 20.
at least, yeah.
Yeah,
At
and they
least.
probably have at least 6 full-time, I would assume.
That's,
Yeah.
that's what
And then they probably have, like you said, 14 or so.
Yeah,
That could be like part-time people.
yeah,
And they get some volunteers as well.
Oh, yeah.
Fortunate that way that they do like a working membership or something like that, but.
Yeah. and so, yeah, it's, I don't foresee Waldeboro, becoming a Y like that.
No.
It's just,
No,
but it was it was close proximity, it took me 10 minutes to get over there and kind of see what,
well, it doesn't hurt to investigate.
get
and
some
learn
ideas.
things.
Yeah,
10
network.
minutes, you flew.
from here. 10 to 15. Meeting was at 9 and I left at 8:30 and I sat in the parking lot quite a while. Yeah.
That's good.
Not as far as you think, I guess,
Uh-huh.
across that Noble Barrel straight stretch, but so yeah, that was, I mean,
Do we have I know we have more or less a charge, but
yeah.
is there any kind of a time frame that we're looking at to try to come up with something? Or what do you have in, what do you
haven't-
envision, I guess?
I don't really know. I was kind of looking to maybe you guys for some guidance on that. She gave me the charge. It's like, well, we did the survey. We're not going to do another survey to ask what you want in it.
No, right.
Maybe I found an old sheet today, that a record from when Kyle was kind of looking into this way back when. And instead of like sending out a survey, his idea was hold an open town meeting, have people come in to see if they want one. If they do, have a second town meeting to see what's in it. We could take this. I don't know who would show up,
I
but
think we're past that.
Yeah,
no, I'm saying
Right.
the second, we're
Yeah.
here, if we take these options to a town meeting, maybe people would show up and have some extra input. I don't know, but I don't know, we have our information here for the most part.
Right. That
We can, I feel like it can be a quick process, but I don't know if that's what the select board wants from us. I like to find out. But I feel like we could put, and I don't know, do we put together, I think you were at our annual conference, the Maine Parks and Rec, we ate lunch with the lady from Wyndham, and they were working on proposals, basically the same thing, and they had them build 3 different proposals, and it was like a $5 million building, a $10 million building, and a $25 million building.
Ooh.
And they were gonna take that and see what people wanted, I guess, but I don't know if that's what they want from us or what, but.
I would think we'd take this top 5 here and look at those and see some of these
Yep.
things can work in other spaces and
Yeah.
maybe prioritize.
And so, I mean, yeah, I kind of wrote out a paper today. I didn't print it and bring it in, but so, the only thing that I personally believe is a necessity that's not in the top 5 is the kitchen. We talked about that, and then the gymnasium, and then we talked about the walking track. The group exercise is something that people want, and I think we can use the multi-purpose rooms that was like the least wanted. That's you get another conference room or something like that you can do classes in. That's what they were doing the Tai Chi and over it. You don't need a conference room and
Yeah,
a
right,
fitness
right,
room.
right.
You can use them together. So that's what I kind of saw. And then teen activity area was high on. It was the second highest one on our list. But like I said, maybe we don't need it. Maybe we just kind of give them free
A
range.
place to hang out.
Yeah. As opposed to trying to herd them into one area. If we
Yeah.
do build a teen activity area, I feel like it's kind of expected you have a staff member there to give them something to do or at least overwatch
Yeah,
them.
Yeah,
Whereas if
Yeah.
you don't have that, they can just be there.
And the gym, you know, if it's a really huge gym, you know, they have those portable, I've seen them in Gunnison where they screen them off. I
Just
mean,
got
it's
the-
more
they got-
than
they got like a-
just.
They got curtains and stuff,
It's, yeah, it's more than what the Y has
Yeah.
down there.
Yeah, but
that
even
is-
like the high school gym here has, they got a curtain that, it's even electric, they don't even have to, you just hit the button and it comes down. You can do it any way you want, but
Sure.
you can separate it. I don't know how
Because-
big the gym will be. I mean, I'm hoping it's big enough to run like a basketball tournament out of, but it doesn't have to be, you know, high school sized gym or anything like that. But it's, you know, whatever people want.
I'd be willing to sit down with you and maybe the town manager
Mhm.
and get maybe a more defined charge, maybe? I guess I just find this very vague.
Yeah.
I'm not, and that's no disrespect to the select board.
No, I don't even know if those
But
were the,
One, we don't,
I don't know if they-
one, we don't know of a possible location, we don't know, I mean, I think we've already determined some of the aspects of it.
Yeah,
But I
right.
mean, I guess the
That's what I
reality
think.
is like, we can come up with multiple designs, and then it would also need to be tied to a feasibility study as well, like.
right.
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't wanna go
No.
spend our time and say, yeah, we decided we want an $8 million building,
And they give us two.
Right.
and they
Yeah.
look at us like, that was just crazy.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
or, you know, what's the scope, or what's the aspect of, how should we look, and are you telling me, you know, you want us to build a facility with zero tax impact, or are you looking to, you know, what is the town looking for us to do as far as,
Yeah.
what is our charge as far as
Yeah.
being fiscally, or how, do we need to come up with a management plan for whatever we design as well? So if we come up with, as a table, we come up with a $3 million facility, do we come up with a budget as well?
Right.
At the same time, like to be able, because I think they kinda go hand in hand, cause that's gonna be the first question, I mean,
Yeah.
besides sticker shock of what it actually costs.
Right.
And granted, that's always an issue, bond or no bond, but it's still, the biggest issue,
Yeah.
in my opinion, is still just the year-to-year maintenance of
Operating
operational
budget.
costs.
Right.
Yeah,
Like,
Yeah.
how did we, obviously, as a town, wouldn't wanna build this nice, beautiful building and then not be able to
Exactly.
afford to keep the doors running, or not open, like my worry was.
Didn't you get the impression, though, from the forum that we were just at, that it's going to be kind of in conjunction with something else?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I know they've been in talks with Lincoln Health, but I don't, and I know Lincoln Health's setting aside money for, you know, at least a facility for them in
Yeah.
Waldeboro, and if we
Right.
partner with them and to bring everything together, I don't know how much of their money would go to, you know, build in our half.
Yeah.
I don't
well,
know.
maybe that's part of our strategy.
Yeah.
Is to, you know, look at the partnership arrangement, look at anchor type,
Yeah. Head Start.
tenants, like a Head Start or an XYZ or an XYZ that can plug
Right.
into a portion of it.
Right.
And that would help defray the cost,
Yeah.
you know,
Right.
and help with the operating cost,
Right.
you know.
I mean,
I think we're supposed to prioritize what we think are the most important aspects.
yeah, I think that's the
kind
first
of
step,
what-
but we could
yeah.
definitely use some more guidance. And I can sit down with the town manager tomorrow and see, you know, even, I can even tell her what we've come up with tonight, like, you know, bare necessities, wonderful additions, probably not gonna happen. And see what she thinks of that, and, you know, where we should go, you know, get more specific.
Yeah, I just think it needs, I mean, none of us at this table want to abandon the project.
Right,
And, you know, the study and the survey showed that there's a desire for it.
right,
I just need, you know, and this is just my processing, is I just need the steps of, okay, I'll do this, I'm willing to do this, but are you saying design a building? Are you saying just, you know?
give us a
I mean,
list.
we
Yeah.
were working with zero money, no budget, like, or you're saying, should I find some other facility that's being built throughout the country currently at this rate and how they're trying to work it? Or do I need to know all the other players and other pieces on the table that could possibly go connect to my building to make that a reality?
Right.
And I think that's probably the most likely is finding the other community pieces, if it's the hospital, if it's the I have no idea.
Right.
Whatever those other players are to make that feasible for the townspeople to be able to utilize that for the majority of the time.
Right.
Well, I know back when we were looking at the next phase for the Madoc Valley Community Foundation, that we were starting to initiate going out and actually looking at places that would provide, at least in theory, the kind of areas of space for different activities. So if we're looking at these 5 right here, there are places in this state that have done this, and why reinvent the wheel?
Right.
And if they did it 5 years ago, okay, so it was at a cost of X, Y, Z. You're gonna have to put probably 15-20% more on that. But at least will give us some idea of how what that space would cost, or spaces would cost. And then can you augment it with some Head Start, some other people that might want some space to be utilized,
Yeah.
you know? And then where's Maine Health coming in? But I mean, you know, let's say all this stuff we can do for, you know, $3 million. Now, if we wanted to expand that to take on Head Start or something else, then you're looking at another $250,000 or whatever.
Right.
So, and where's Maine Health plug into that? Or where do they plug into the main thing? If it's $3 million to build, are they willing to pony up, you know, $2 million?
Right.
Because they wanna maintain health within this community, or wellness.
Yep.
So you know, there's a lot of
Right. And
It's
shared,
talking about
shared expenses.
shared
costs of heating
expenses that-
systems, that type of stuff.
can satisfy them, and if they're gonna put a bunch of docks together, meaning
Yeah.
they wanna, I don't, did you hear that at the meeting? There's 2 or 3 buildings in this town that house different doctors.
Right.
Yeah.
That, would it be better as a part of a shared building that would help pay for the operating costs and get rid of that building, get rid of this other building, and make it into a real
Community hub.
community hub and health center in the truest sense.
Right.
Health
Yeah.
wellness center.
I think that's.
You know,
probably
that's what
where
I
we're going.
kind of envision, which would differentiate us from the Y,
Yeah.
Penn Bay, Rockland.
It'd be different.
This
than
would be,
that,
this would be
yeah. Unique.
a model, or potentially a model that other people could look at. That's kind of a vision. I don't know,
I think maybe we should prioritize what we think are the 3 or 4 most important things, so that when Marcus goes in there, he can talk, you know, the walking track and the gym.
Yep.
Because the rec space, the group exercise, multipurpose room, multipurpose floor, that could all be gym. I mean,
Right.
those things, to
Sure.
me, speak all gym.
Yeah, I see the multi-purpose floor in conjunction with the gym. I see
Yeah.
the multi-purpose rooms. I see.
It's just
as
how they're gonna
separate.
be used
Yeah.
at certain times.
Right.
Right.
And yeah, the less, you know, I don't see the gym as a basketball court. I see it as a big place that different things can happen.
Yeah.
But I'd also, you know, I think multi-purpose rooms for smaller things could be important too. To, you know, like classes. You know, our third highest want was group exercise, aerobics, karate space.
Right.
You don't need a gym to do that. You can do
No.
it in a room this size.
Right.
Well,
the Tai Chi
it
class.
depends.
Yeah, it depends how many you get, but
It
yeah.
depends. I
yeah.
mean, I've seen it over there when, at the communication building or the track or whatever they call that room over there.
Oh, yeah.
We maxed out space when Stacy was there.
I'm sure.
I mean, there was 35 people. You
Yep.
can't get 35 people in there in a year exercising.
And so, you know, but then we
With
still
a
have
mat
we
or-
still have the gym that we could move them to.
Right, you could
But,
flip flop.
right.
Yeah. I think you're looking for a lot of spaces, room, you know, either a conference room, meeting room, multi-purpose room that has almost like transformer abilities to.
Right, and that's
You can
that room-
divide it in half,
Yeah.
you can make it big, you
Yeah.
can, you know.
Yeah.
You can tumble on it, you can bring out tables from 2 entry storage units to be able to put conference or.
Yep.
You know, so it's getting utilized as much as possible throughout the whole day for.
Right. No.
After
downtime.
school time is dedicated for kids and this, and the mornings is more for the seniors and adults, and late
right.
night is for active adults, or, you know, there's a variety of things like you want it to fill, so it's not
Right.
just sitting there vacant.
Right.
The other thing is your tumbling class. Now, that's more permanent stuff that has to stay in a room. If
Yeah,
you,
so
if you
they use it-
develop it,
yeah.
because if you have a horse in there, or if you have a, what do they call it, a parallel bar or something
yeah,
like
no,
that, when you, the
Yeah, it's
kids,
Yeah,
different.
but they're
couple
not,
years.
they're not doing that.
No,
We
they're
don't
not
have that.
doing it now,
No,
but
yeah,
as those kids progress, they may want to.
maybe. So right now, our tumbling class is up at the middle school. They just have the cheerleading mats that they roll out.
Right.
We could do,
Yeah.
you know, we
They
could.
take up space.
They do take up space, but
Yep.
we wouldn't have to have a room with a tumbling floor. You could,
Right.
we could just buy the mats and we'd have them, if that was something that was gonna continue, you know.
Okay.
So, yeah, gymnasium, indoor walking track,
Storage space.
that's not on our list.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I think,
I'm
again,
with you- I'm with you on that.
yeah.
as far as steps go, I think you should talk to the town manager to possibly get a little bit more defined.
Mhm.
From that meeting, I think we then start looking at the New England area to see if other recreation center complexes within the last 5 to 10 years that were built in a somewhat similar size or fashion, you know, population's 20,000 below or whatever, that have built this.
Mhm.
And then look to see if any of those buildings are built like with collaborations or how they made it work.
Yep.
I mean, obviously, you can have a population of same to our size in a different, that has a whole
Different
different
demographic, yeah.
economics.
Right.
Wouldn't make
You know,
sense, but
There's a lot of the MERPA reports that come out.
Yeah.
And we're pretty close in population to Cape Elizabeth, but
right. And I want
Not
to
the
say,
same
and I want,
demographic.
and I want to say, like we originally in one of those surveys was from Newport, New Hampshire, which is a
Yes.
smaller community with some social, you know, some economic struggles, as you know.
Yeah.
That may line up, or to see some of that,
Yeah.
and they may have a partnership or working with Dartmouth Hitchcock, or any of you know.
Yep.
Those are just some quick ones, but I think from that step is saying, okay, well, we found these couple facilities, this is what we really like.
Yep.
But we wanna pluck this and we wanna put this in
Right.
Yeah.
and then kinda throw it at them, you know, without having a really true architect drawing or any of that.
Right.
Unless we know of people that are willing to donate it or do that, but.
Yeah.
So then once you kind of agree on a design, I guess would be then for the select board to say, yeah, proceed and find details.
I'll see if I can resurrect some of the plans.
I have
Yeah.
the basic
Do you have the basic stuff?
blueprint stuff. I don't have any of the money information. I got a big poster board that shows all the plans.
From
Um,
the Mendon Valley
Yeah.
Community
And,
Foundation?
you know, it's, that was a $4 million building back then. But, I mean, it did have basic, you know, it was a gym with some rooms and a walking track and some locker rooms and a kitchen, you know,
Yeah.
it wasn't, I didn't think it was anything massive, you know, but it was
Functional.
functional. It was, it's good.
I can see if I can get a hold of John Blaine too, he might
Yep.
have some.
Yeah, I know, you know, I've seen the pictures and what I've talked to Kyle about it, and
Mhm.
that's about it.
Yeah,
But-
cause Kyle was
Yeah.
involved in that too.
Yeah,
But,
and that's another good resource.
Because I think down there at the Y, they have like a cardiac, no, it's at the hospital, where they have some cardiac
Rehab.
exercise classes
Yep.
that they do there, because I think Master Allen goes to it.
oh, yeah.
So, I mean, there's maybe some of those things that
Well, certainly
would
Penn
be
Bay does.
using, yeah,
Yeah.
would be
Yeah.
used in some of these rooms.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
And that's where it gets more collaborative. It's not,
Yeah,
you know,
Yep.
in my head, it's like we build a building with a big wall down the middle, and one side is, you know, the health portion, and one side's a community center, and then, but that's probably not how it'll be. It'll probably be a lot more
No, I think
inclusive than
I
that.
think you'd have a lot more shared spaces,
Then
and then
we-
some spaces that are exclusive to certain users.
Right.
Yeah, like, okay, obviously, you know, a regular rec user's not gonna go into the rehab facility
Right.
or such, but that rehab person may come out and walk the track and
Yep.
do some more
Right.
exercises, or, you know, when they close at 5 o'clock, boom, you can still open up the gym and
Yeah.
have operate with a much lesser staff.
What kind of questions do you feel we wanna ask, with respect to the town manager? Do we have some specific thoughts in mind as far as questions, or from a, you know, trying to get a better direction? We talking financial, do we talking partnerships? What is, you know, how much more of this main health thing is really gonna be part of this equation?
Right.
I think, you know,
Yeah.
we can talk and talk and talk, but we gotta, you know, I think have a little bit more on the bone to understand what kind of
Right.
flex, where we're heading.
Yeah.
You know, it's just, we just can't pick numbers, or we can't just pick all this designs.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, I
What's your
would,
vision,
I'd kinda
too?
wanna, yeah, like, what are the what are the action steps?
There you go.
Okay, so here's the first action step, is we determine a need. Okay, so we
We've
determine,
done
we
that.
determine the survey, so now the
Yeah.
next step is determining the, characteristics of the building for the
Mhm.
second part.
Slash usage.
Right, and then, you know, how does it get to the next step? Is it operating, or is in that next step, is it collaborations and, you know, finances,
Yeah.
you know, that
How do
would
we
make that
develop the
possible,
capital?
right? And how much time do we spend on that next step to determine how big the building is and all that great stuff if we don't really know what the next step is? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I wouldn't wanna shoot for a $3 million building when, you know, the main health may have a much larger scale
Right.
envisioned for themselves, and we obviously take a smaller pie of that, or who knows,
Right.
but I'm just, those are kind of the steps I would wanna see.
At the same time, we don't want to design a $15 million building and
Yeah, yeah,
have it
you,
just thrown out.
right, and then, you know, we're not even talking location, is there a location in mind,
Yeah, I mean,
or-
there's been stuff thrown around, but nothing set in stone.
Sure, so, I mean, granted, I'd do whatever to try to make this reality, and I think everybody here in this committee would like to do, but I just would wanna know, I guess from my steps is, am I thinking too far ahead, or am I not thinking far enough ahead, you know, as far as,
Yeah.
you just haven't coughed up the money, that's the problem.
yeah,
Mm.
no, I mean, I would love to see it, and I think, you know, I think it would take some collaborations to make it feasible. But that's without me looking at the numbers. But I definitely think we can find some comparable facilities that have been built, like, for the next 5 or 10 years, and then kinda steal some of that information. Plus some of the stuff that they've already created in the past, which is now 15,
Well,
10,
I'm going
15
down
years
to
old.
Right.
West Hartford next week. And I know that UConn has a facility right there that is their health complex. That, you know, I can just walk in and see, or Suzanne can take me in and see just what they've done.
Mhm.
But they're a teaching hospital there on the hill, and then they have this down below. But it sounds similar to maybe what may materialize here, but they call it a health complex, but she goes in for fitness in
Right.
there.
So, yeah,
So,
sure.
and other things.
I'm sure
So-
Hartford is, you know, Hartford's definitely much bigger scale than Waldeboro, but if it's the same
yeah.
concept, then
Yeah.
it could be beneficial.
Yeah.
Alright.
So, yeah, sounds good.
Maybe try to get clarification where main health, it's potentially gonna fit into this.
She may not know that yet, I don't
Yeah, yeah.
think. Yeah.
I don't know,
Yeah.
but it sounded to me like they were pushing to have monies available, and how come, you know, we don't wanna be on the tail end I think we wanna try to be on the front end.
From a selfish standpoint, I would say that we would like to be, either have a presence or you have that presence at that table
Right.
as it's being designed. And this would be nothing against any of the other players, but if it's gonna be beneficial to the town and the town's gonna have a role in this, including your department, then.
Right.
You know, as these talks either advance or, and maybe we're way ahead of it, but
Yeah.
I wouldn't want somebody else designing the building.
Saying,
Without-
here you go.
Yeah, you gotta be a stakeholder.
Yeah.
Correct. Or are those stakeholders already set?
Established.
I don't
Right.
think so.
No,
I don't think so.
But, you know, but doing our priorities of this, I think, helps in
Yeah.
that.
Sure.
absolutely.
So why don't we do that? I think we can kind of move on to the next item, and then, you know, we can talk by email, or you can,
Yeah.
you can talk to the town manager and go from there.
Yep.
Items for upcoming agendas, obviously following up on what we find out here. And maybe we can find some facilities between now and the next meeting, to look at.
Field trip?
Yeah, field trip.
Yeah,
I already took one. Sorry I didn't invite you guys. It was
Yeah.
kind of short notice.
it's fine. I've been there several times. And then I guess we'd just be looking at maybe some of your program ideas or your other thoughts. One thing I would like to see is be able to come up with some open gym times.
Yep.
And whether that's finding a staff so you're not opening it and you're not doing it, or finding some volunteers to sign up and man it. But
Yep.
I would like to see, for my own selfish reasons for my family, is to see some open gym time on, you know, Saturdays or Sundays. I know Warren kind of does something along that lines. I think
Okay.
there's some open stuff.
So not so much an adult open time, but just an open time for,
Yeah, just for kids
Kids
that
that-
can come in and play sports without
Yep.
having somebody like myself coach them and yell at them, and you know, I'm just
yeah,
to
just
kind of go and learn how to pick their own teams and go and
play.
work on whatever they may think they want, or just
Yep.
play and stuff like that. And I think there's probably some people, and I'd be willing to volunteer a shift here and there. I won't say I want to give up every Sunday, but
Yep.
I think I could find some people that would be willing to cover,
Yep.
you know, a 3-hour shift or a 5-hour shift, whatever it is, but just not
Yep.
every week.
Right.
So. And then any other ideas that you had for
Yeah.
winter time? You know, obviously, I
Yeah.
think that's
I mean, yeah, things I've got. It tends to be my slower part of the year. I actually did start planning for summer rec today.
that's good.
Especially when we're taking off to full time next year. You know, I called the school like, "Hey, I want to use your gym all day next year and 7 weeks, not 5, because usually, like, we end on a Friday and then I go in, which would hopefully be our 6th week of camp next year, and they've already like they ship the meals up to Union and they rip the kitchen stuff out and start cleaning floors. So there's a lot more than just signing up for it. I need to make sure they're not gonna the custodians are okay with me staying in the gym a little longer, and maybe a little earlier. You know, we start after the 4th of July, so maybe we start the week before this year. I'm kind of waiting to see when the meal, I'm kind of limited to when the healthy meals are running, so that we can have food for the kids. But
Yeah.
that's
Typically, that program starts up right after kids get done school, just
Yeah.
because that's the need it's supposed to be filling.
right.
But I would
So,
think, you
Yeah,
know,
I called them today to try to find out if they had any hard set dates for, at least ideas for next year, but they didn't call me back. So
When does school end next year?
I usually expect,
I mean, it's probably on their website.
yeah, I haven't looked. Usually June 15th to 20th. in
And
that
it's all
range.
subject to
Yeah.
snow days.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's
they've
probably
already,
like
they've
June.
already used one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
So
So, yeah, I mean, I think, I'd love to add as many programs as I can in the winter, but at the same time, I think it's gonna be a big planning section for me for next summer where everything's gonna take off a lot more.
You know, is there any, I don't know if this is feasible, but indoor golf? You know, you're laughing.
No,
Put it in your talk.
You know, not a golf, but just a warm-up, you know, a mat and a wiffle ball and practice
Yeah.
hitting or any, I mean,
Right.
there seems to me there are those things around to get you ready, I mean, later in the spring to get
Yeah.
ready for
For the season.
golf. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
I know.
just an idea
Yeah.
that,
Right.
because I think quite a few people go over here to Rockland Munis to play.
Yep.
And,
Yeah, like a late March, early April.
yeah,
We run a program similar to that, yeah.
Yeah.
Where we get some putting greens, some turfs, and then we have
Yeah.
a few hitting nets and
Yep.
an instructor that kind of helps people that want that.
You just run that in your gym.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's both, we have a youth one and we have an adult.
Yep.
The youth one's the most popular.
Yep.
But we have kids that come in and, practice.
Do we have a golf team here at the high school?
Yeah, very
Yes.
good one.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, they've been pretty
Finished
competitive.
12th and 15th at this individual state, Carson and Sean,
Yeah.
something
But
like
they
that.
won the KBC, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
That's a false
it's pretty good without really
Yep.
having a
Yeah.
true golf
Yes.
course in the district. I
Right.
mean, there
Yeah.
is.
Yeah, they go to Rockland, I think.
Yeah.
Llama Llama.
It is a
Very good.
life
yeah.
sport.
Llama stole my
No,
ball.
definitely.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and the other thing I would like to see for, again, selfish reasons is like tennis lessons for kids.
Yep.
I mean, those courts are pretty nice out to the high school.
Yep.
And that could just be simply talking to the high school coach and seeing if they wanted help
Right.
taking registrations.
And
far as
does the
instruction
high
goes.
school have them taped for, or painted for pickleball yet?
No.
Wow.
I don't think that's in the comments.
Wow.
I don't know.
No, but I mean, they're
Yeah.
teaching it in the schools now.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're doing it here, but
They, yeah, I mean, even when I went to high school, 10, 12, whatever years ago it was now, we had
What?
we had pickleball in phys ed class. Well, I said that like it was a
You
long
did?
time ago,
Right.
but you guys are all older than me, so.
Yeah, they got, no,
I
the,
got you all beat.
Tenley does it at the middle school.
Yeah,
They
we
just-
did it. We did it at the high school. We usually
Yeah.
we bring the volleyball nets in close together and
cool.
pull the nets down.
I
And
mean, that's the trend. It is decreasing from the 50-plus age group down to, I mean,
It's,
to
it's an
youth.
accessible game. It's great.
yeah, I played for 2.5 hours last night, way past my bedtime at the
it's
Han in
pretty
Friendship.
addictive, isn't it?
Oh, did you?
Yeah. So.
I gotta get your number. All right, I think, anybody else have anything else they want to add to the agenda?
My one thought is to maybe add to next year is that you have a trip that people pay for.
With that, we just have to have a minimum. If we didn't get the minimum, we just have to cancel it. I guess.
Didn't college do the?
In addition to, or?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
well,
what-
this way
yeah,
he
I'm
doesn't
just not doing that
charge
way.
Right.
for,
Yeah. It's been on my radar to do like a Celtics. Foxwoods, yeah. It's been on my radar to do like
There
a
you go.
Celtics or a Red Sox trip.
Yeah.
I just haven't ponied up and done it yet, but I know he used to do them every 3 to 4 years or so. And then I don't know. What were you thinking? What were you thinking for a bus trip?
I don't know, that one you did, I thought sounded pretty nice.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so like another scenic tour.
Well,
Yeah.
it
Yeah,
just-
yeah, you could look at, there's some different, I could
Acadia for the day.
Yeah,
yeah,
Acadia for the day.
Day or
Some may,
something.
Actually, that'd be kinda
some
cool.
people would like to go to Bangor
Genius
to,
sometimes, right?
Yeah, nice.
Wouldn't that be
See,
nice?
I
You
mean,
just wouldn't have to do the drive.
I mean, some would just don't wanna drive
Bar Harbor's
more
easy
than
to get around, you
an
know?
hour,
True.
so.
or they may wanna go,
Is
does,
it good going down?
does
Going
North
up, I'll
Conway
slide.
have outlets or something?
I got the
Somebody- I
vapors.
mean,
I was like,
somebody may wanna-
Yeah.
That
My
may be
hiccups,
something.
it's a wrap.
Yeah, I've done that, we've
Table.
done that one before.
Well, I don't have any
There are people
top
flying
loss. I don't
down
have
that
anything
thing.
holding
I'm
it steady.
Yeah.
It's not level apparently. So.
Alright, then I think the other thing we need to discuss is the
The date.
The
'cause
date,
It
which
falls
would-
the day before Thanksgiving, and then the next one's the day Christmas Day, I think. So
Oh,
we got to figure out. I should have brought my computer in if I can get the calendar on my
I
phone.
have
But the one that has the openings here.
So,
So the 27th would be our normally scheduled, the 28th is obviously Thanksgiving. I would, most people probably would not wanna meet on the 27th, I'm assuming.
Yeah,
Right.
probably not.
Okay.
Could we meet on a Tuesday? Oh, no, that's the select board. Is that,
Yeah, I always forget if it's first and third or second and fourth, but
They met last night, so,
last night,
So
Yeah.
last night would
What,
be,
the 4th,
the fourth,
second and
so-
4th.
yeah, so it's second and fourth, so the 26th would probably be open, but the 19th wouldn't. It'd be 2 days before Thanksgiving.
no,
The 26th would be this council meeting, and
The-
the
the
12th and the
4th.
26th.
yeah. 26th would be the fourth week.
Right. So we would be looking at the 27th, the day before Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
The Tuesday. Oh, you're right.
No, we're not looking at that.
yeah, we're not
Right.
looking.
I- Got it?
you might be,
Got it?
I've
Where am
got stuff
I-
to do.
I mean, you could meet the Wednesday prior.
Are you on
I would not be
2019?
available.
I am. For some reason I
That gets me at work all the time.
don't know why I can't get. I gotta figure out how to get I got a new phone a while back, and I don't have this room's calendar to let. us
Oh,
know.
I
I
see.
can run and grab my
Link to me.
computer, but it'll take me a few minutes to get it pulled up, or we can.
What, do you wanna try to tentatively do the 20th?
Or the other thing that we could do that would work for me would be we could choose to meet maybe just once, either on the 4th or the 11th of December between, because on the 25th will be,
Yep.
of December is Christmas, obviously, so
Right.
that would be our
Works
next.
for me.
So go.
So maybe we could
one
split
meeting.
the difference and do one meeting for the 2 months and start back up regularly in January.
Yep.
If people are fine with that.
So we're looking at,
The
That-
4th or
'cause I
the
don't see
11th.
anything on our agendas that need to be addressed unless we find something different.
So you're saying December 4th?
4th or the 11th would work for me, the 18th would not. Would be my-
Ooh,
what's the?
Neither of those work for
What's the
you?
I
consensus?
think I have all the women coming on the 5th, so that's okay.
So you wanna shoot for the 11th?
No,
Yeah.
the 4th is good.
You sure?
I mean, either one's fine with me, I just can't do the
Yeah.
3rd or the 3rd is when I have my commission meeting in Brunswick, so.
Well,
I'll be
can we do
coaching
it
it at some
like
points too. so.
Monday the 2nd
Yeah,
or
you
the
will.
3rd?
It depends on the availability, but I can look.
So why don't you look and see 2, 3, and
Does that
4?
work for everybody
Is
else?
that
on
everybody
Monday?
okay
I
on
don't
that?
know, like Troy said, depends on practices.
Depends,
Hopefully
yeah.
I'm not coaching.
I sometimes have council meetings, they have theirs the 2nd and 4th too, so the 2nd might work.
Okay. Alright, I'll put 2nd, 4th, or 11th. We'll scratch the 3rd.
And you'll let us know,
Yeah.
rather than
I
try
can,
to.
I can look tomorrow and get it all set up.
Okay.
It's-
With that, I'll take a motion to adjourn. Second? All in favor? Ray? Good?
Here, I'm here.
All right.
They are
Have a happy Halloween,
your own time.
everybody.
too.
Yeah.